So
Were you homeschooled?
I was not. I went to public school.
Are you talking about me then?
I'm talking, because you said you're homeschooled. I know people are
No,
gonna.
but I'm great at dating.
Be in
love
the
it.
comments.
Like guys tend to have longer eyelashes, and girls hate it because they're like, I have to put fake ones on or I have to use mascara.
Take them shooting.
What? Why?
I'm like 20% kidding.
Welcome to the Young Patriots. I'm your host, Devin Romero, and we're with our co-host, Aiden MacArthur, and our guest speaker, Vance Hickman. And yes, his brother was on our show earlier. We were talking about race-swapping characters in Hollywood. So basically what we're going to be talking about today, typical college guy struggles and stuff, dating. We're going to talk about different advice, different questions. Hopefully you guys find some use out of this. So yeah, we could go ahead and get started. So Vance, tell us a little bit about yourself. And how did you end up on the show?
Okay, well, obviously, like you said, I'm Vance Hickman. I'm this guy's brother, the guy who did the race swapping episode. I'm from California. I was homeschooled my whole life, and now I'm a college student here at BYU, Idaho. So, yeah, like you said, kind of having the experience of dating people and figuring out stuff, and we're just going to talk about that today.
Yeah. Would you say dating is a struggle up here at BYU?
I would say it's better than where I live, that's for sure. I've gone on like 4 dates so far this semester, so that's not bad.
Yeah, and where you live is Northern California.
Yeah, kind of in the middle, but more north.
Yeah, so Aiden is also a student, and then I'm an alumni. So I'm not actively in school.
But we all have experience.
We've all had experience with it.
And before the comments start and say, oh, he was homeschooled, of course he's bad at dating.
Bro, no.
I went to public school my whole life, and dating
I'm not
sucks here. So
Were you homeschooled?
I was not. I went to public school.
Are you talking about me then?
I'm talking, because you said you're homeschooled. I know people are
No,
going to
but I'm great at dating.
be in the comments. Yeah, because you're a good-looking guy.
So
almost confessed my love there for a second.
I was gonna say
we were talking about Freudian slips the other day.
I was like hesitating to make the joke, but I felt like there was a little bit of coming out there. So
that's one of the straightest things you could do, though.
That is.
Okay, so, well, first off, what has been some of the typical pitfalls you've noticed with dating? I mean, you can speak to your experience, I know. But what have been some of the typical pitfalls that you've seen so far?
Pitfalls as in stuff that's not good?
Just things that have been struggles, things that put kind of a roadblock.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's probably just a me problem, but finding dates in the first place can be tough sometimes. I've asked a lot of girls out. But a lot of them are either already taken or not looking for a relationship, it feels like. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of been a struggle. I've fought hard to be able to get the dates that I have gotten. But when I do get the dates, they're pretty good, honestly.
Gotcha.
People I've gone out with. You just have to look for the right people.
Well, there's a problem, what you said right there. Like, girls don't want a relationship. Like, why are they flattering themselves thinking that we want a relationship with them because we ask them on one date?
I mean,
it's kind of crazy.
Guys are kind of like guilty of that too.
Plenty of guys definitely are thinking way far ahead.
Right.
I think all guys think far ahead. Some of them are actually trying to plan stuff, and that I understand. Like, stay away from those guys. But we're just chill, bro. Like, let's just go out and have fun. It's a group date. Stop stressing.
Right. And I feel like that's kind of just like the culture of being members of the church as well, where it's so ingrained in our heads that we need to get married and have a family as fast as possible that we take things super seriously when we should just be trying to have fun, you know? Try to create relationships, genuine relationships.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it's a very terrifying thing, as everyone I'm sure knows. When you're trying to ask someone out, you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position. You're going to be basically admitting that you like someone, or at least that you think they're cool and you want
with them.
Right. Yeah, at least you think they're cool and you want to spend some time with them, and it can be awkward talking to people you've never met before. Right. I think a lot of the struggle around dating has everything to do with the culture we live in, pertaining specifically to social media and technology. If you've read Anxious Generation, and I'm trying to remember, Jonathan Haidt is the author, it talks about how we are the first generation that's grown up almost our entire lives with technology. Yeah. And you better bet it's had an impact on how we interact with people. So what ends up happening is, you've talked about this before. I think it was episode 2, where you were explaining sometimes people get to a point where they don't have anything to say. They're waiting in a room, sitting next to strangers. They're like waiting in the doctor's waiting area or whatever. And instead of talking with each other, they just pull out a phone. And that type of social dynamic, it only hurts when you're trying to make friends and when you're trying to find a significant other.
Right.
Like it only hurts those circumstances. And it's interesting to see how much people have cowered behind their devices and used it as an excuse to ignore a person. I mean, imagine if anyone prior to this point had ever done something like that. If you had a rock instead of a tablet, like instead of a phone or some sort of device, and you were just staring at this rock to ignore your neighbor. Like, do you think how socially weird that would be?
That's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
It's just metal.
But because it's a phone, everyone knows, that person's busy. They don't want to talk.
I was in the elevator the other day, and I make an effort, especially when I'm like in a close space like that and there's people, to not have my phone out. Even if we're not talking, I just don't want to be lame like that.
Yeah. And
this person that was in the elevator with me pulled out their phone, and they're just swiping around, not doing anything.
No.
It's the funniest thing ever.
No. And the reason we're talking about these issues, I mean, these things, this is going to sound like to the audience, they're like, why the heck is Young Patriots talking about dating? I mean, well, for one, do you guys know that majority of men lean right? And do you know the opposite is true for women? Majority of women lean left. A huge dividing issue for women during this last election was in favor of Kamala Harris. The one thing people could say that they supported Kamala Harris about was her abortion stance. And that uniquely aligned with majority of a feminist lean and audience. So what we're dealing with is, I mean, I don't know if we deal with this as much in BYU, Idaho. We deal with other problems.
Right.
A little bit unique. Some things bleed over still, but not the typical problems that most universities are dealing with. But at the same time, a lot of people are complaining about, I can't find any conservative women out there. And the liberal women are saying, I can't find any conservative men out there. So I guess this is going to lead into a question I have for you guys. What do you guys think is the right approach for handling situations where you meet a woman or a woman meets a guy that they have conflicting beliefs?
Take them shooting.
What? Why?
I'm like 20% kidding. I know a couple, they're some friends of mine, and they started dating, and then one of them, I'll say came out, I don't mean it like that, but one of them expressed that they lean more left than the other person who leans very right, and had issues with Trump and guns and certain things, and then they went shooting, and now this girl loves guns. So like, she still has her beliefs and stuff, but you can find common ground within that. And I still think it's really important to end up with someone, married to someone who aligns with you almost perfectly politically, just so that there's not that big contention in the home. But there's ways to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, and even if you disagree on like the things that aren't as big of a deal, I think what you're getting at with the shooting thing is less what the activity is and more giving people an opportunity to spend time together and just exist in the same space for a time.
Yeah.
Get to know each other.
People definitely need to see things from a different perspective, try to put themselves in other people's shoes. And I think that's kind of ties into what you were saying about taking someone shooting. They can kind of see where they're coming from now, the other person, and because of that, understand better their side of the story. It's a lot of communication, which I think we kind of are missing a lot in our relationships nowadays. That comfort of being, feeling comfortable talking to each other about certain things, because there's so much hate when it comes to stuff like that, especially politics. Yeah. That people generally just shut up and shut down,
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I want to encourage people to don't close off your options just because someone is a certain way or that their beliefs are a certain way. In the very least, I think it's a good experience to date people that you strongly disagree with. And you might be surprised by how much common ground you come across. I do think it becomes a little more of an issue once you start considering marriage with a person that really strongly disagrees with you. Yep. There needs to be unity in the home, I think, in order to raise children in a safe environment. But there's nothing wrong with, a conservative dating a liberal or vice versa. I think you're going to learn valuable things from that. And I think it actually helps to bridge some of these divides. Because that's where we start getting into people are like, I can't be friends with someone I disagree with on politics or religion. That's dangerous. That is cult-like behavior.
Yeah.
And it creates echo chambers.
At the friend level, yeah, that's kind of insane.
Yeah.
And even dating, personally, I don't think I would ever, date someone who leans crazy extreme, because I'm extreme and I need to change too. But I would support that. It is important to learn from each other and, see the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Like you said, once you get closer to marriage and stuff, you should probably, reconsider what you want. But it's important that we talk to each other.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's what I would say is I looked for, when I was dating, because I'm married now, when I was dating, I was looking for principles and I was looking for characteristics. So it wasn't so much about what someone believes. It was more about like, who's going to be a good mother, who exhibits traits of nurturing and compassion and wisdom and various different things that makes a strong woman, that makes a strong mother and wife. And then I was looking for those attributes, and that's the ultimate goal. It doesn't really matter ultimately what you registered as to vote. What it does matter is, for instance, abortion rights. If you marry someone that's really strong on abortion, and they say that only the woman has the say in the matter because it's her body, and you as the husband, I've seen clips of relationships. Usually they're not married, but I've seen clips of relationships where there is a man in tears over the fact that his child is getting their life taken away from them. And the mother is making this decision. It's unilateral. He has no say in the matter. So there's things like that there's real consequences, and people don't think that far, especially in hookup culture. It's, again, those are one of those things that we don't tend to deal with as much in our community, being a church school and whatnot. I'm sure that's the case for a lot of Christian schools, but it is absolutely a thing that's happening right now. We talk about people being too antsy to get into marriage. There's people that are sleeping together on the first date.
Yeah. We definitely see that in here as well.
For sure.
And they have Mormonized versions, I guess, of it with like Nick Mose and stuff like that. So
yeah. Things less extreme, but still not
still
great.
Bad, not mentally healthy.
Still pathetic, and you're just as much of a loser as anyone else who sleeps around, essentially. So
I'm just blown away by the fact that no one catches the non-committal or non-committed part of that.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Again, it's the same issue with premarital sex. It's
supposed to be a sign of commitment.
Yeah. And everyone will say that they're going to get to know the person better through the bedroom.
Right.
But what ends up happening is the odds of them staying together, even if they get married, statistically speaking, they're more likely to separate.
Yeah.
It's
like the parable of being built on a sandy foundation or rocky foundation. You can be built on sex and horniness, or you can be built on actual genuine love for each other and the desire to bring kids into the world and to have a family, and to, if you want to, follow Christ, that can be part of your rock. But still, plenty of atheists have beautiful families because they know what matters. They actually love each other. So
they have the right structure and the right process. Yeah. Well, and I've talked to people that they went about that process wrong, and they have told me it messes with your head. Your hormones get involved in the process, and people that you wouldn't have found attractive otherwise, you were stuck to and tied to, and then it turns out they're abusive, and then it turns out they have these problems, they're an alcoholic, all these things you didn't know about before you made this big jump into a relationship in such a severe way. And just so everyone knows, like, people will say there's no difference between men and women. Women absolutely are the most injured party with one-night stands and premarital sex. If you are, having the oxytocin flooding your body during and after sex, and you're breaking that off and doing it with various different people, it's causing mental and emotional and psychological trauma to that individual. I Wouldn't be surprised if there's exceptions, but it is still sinful and harmful for all people who engage in that behavior. So, and I don't say that to be hateful. I say that to encourage people to consider what you're doing and to make changes. For guys, it's stopping pornography. A lot of guys are doing that. And I've seen videos with people that are like, yeah, I came across this video and it encouraged me to stop pornography and my life's improved 100-fold. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the type of approach I'm taking. This is weighing you down. Life is hard enough. Let this go. Leave this behind and become new. So I think that helps, though. I mean, despite having struggles with dating, that helps to have that groundwork in front of us to know, okay, well, let's at least get to know someone on an intellectual and a spiritual level first.
Right.
And then we can slowly work towards marriage, and eventually we're able to begin that process of creating a family.
Right. Because that's really what love is, too. I think, especially with social media and pornography and stuff like that, people's ideas of what love is very physically based, very physical attraction.
Yeah.
But the times where you feel love the most aren't through those kinds of things. I feel like it's more through the acts of service, the words of affirmation, the 5 love languages, stuff like that. That stuff can really change how you see someone. And we always say that, like, when you first meet someone, they look different from when you know them, like after like 6 months.
Yeah.
That's because their personality changes how you see them in your head.
Yeah.
And so people really need to focus more on, I guess, personality than looks. Obviously, looks are important.
Yeah.
You should be attracted to the person you date, but...
Or at least marry.
Yeah. At least marry.
Yeah.
You can date ugly girls. I'm not going to.
You can date ugly guys. My girlfriend's doing it right now.
Yo.
What a total burden there. That's crazy.
I said it before the comments.
I think you're pretty.
So, what has worked well for you in dating? What have you taken away that's been a positive lesson?
I have no idea. I can't think of anything
What's
specific.
positive about dating?
I mean, things I do that makes it a positive experience?
Well, it can be, I mean, for example, something I learned, I had a lot of rejection.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an odd thing because you think, okay, well, I've always got compliments on my looks from women and from girls. And so when I came up here,
that's sick. Congrats.
And it was crazy.
I'm not acting surprised. I'm just like,
what? Really?
I'm surprised because girls actually do that.
Yes.
Not because I think you're like chopped or anything.
But did you like date them, or are they just like, oh, you're a cool
friend? It was really as I was growing up, basically. So as I was like
I got that
14,
too.
15, 16, 17.
You got that in the teen years, bro? You got that in puberty?
Got lucky, man.
Dang.
People would always say like girls would kill for your eyelashes.
Yo, what?
Apparently,
really?
I have long eyelashes.
Is that important for girls?
I do too.
Well, they're just jealous of it.
They're like, I want those eyelashes.
I've actually seen that guys tend to have longer eyelashes, and girls hate it because they're like, I have to put fake ones on or I have to use mascara, and then there's these guys with these long butterfly lashes. It's crazy.
What?
Mine aren't that long, but I'm just saying, like, so I've regularly gotten compliments, but came up to school, and it's like rejection after rejection after rejection. It's like. You hear one feedback and then another feedback is you're not good enough. So the thing I took away from dating, and I still struggled when I was dating to internalize this, the rejection doesn't mean that I'm not enough. It doesn't mean that I'm not desirable or that I'll never get married. I believed that for a long time. But what it does mean is that person wasn't the right person for you. Sometimes it is a behavioral thing on your end. That's the thing that I usually go off of is if it keeps happening, it's following me, I'm the problem.
Yeah.
But even in this case where that was happening, I was doing the best I could. I was marriage focused, but not marriage obsessed. So I'm not wasting anyone's time. I'm here to learn about a person, become a friend, and then eventually see maybe this is compatible and you move into that, steady dating space where you're actually, okay, we're committed to each other. We're almost kind of beginning to plan your lives out a little bit in the small and simple ways. You're working together on a more daily basis, spending a lot more time with each other. And, but I realized walking away from past failures that if I had given up when I wanted to and when I felt like everything was hopeless, I would have never met my amazing wife.
Yeah.
which I didn't think was possible. Like, once I met her, everything clicked. The things I was looking for just fell into place, and she was checking every box, literally. I told her when we were dating, I was like, I'm a little concerned because I haven't seen any red flags, like nothing. And it's been emphatic green flags. And then she was like, I have been having the same thought about you. So that it's just, it clicked. Yeah. It worked. And it was clear to both of us that we were right for each other. And so we jumped together. We took that leap of faith.
And I think that's a big part of it too, is that like it's unattractive to not, how do I phrase this? It's unattractive to see someone who can't find validation in themselves, you know, can't feel validated by themselves or from God. They seek it from other people. And, you know, obviously it's all right to seek validation from other people to an extent, but I think people do it too much nowadays because we're such perfectionists and because of social media and how people act, we seek validation from the people who we see as higher than us. Yeah. And so because of that, we don't feel comfortable with ourselves. And if you can't feel comfortable with yourself, how are you going to feel comfortable, or how are you going to help someone else feel comfortable around themselves, you know? And so I think a big part of the problem with people who are dating is you need to learn to love yourself and to find that where you find success depends on what God wants for you and how you're following that plan.
What does it mean to love yourself? Is that just like, oh, I feel like today was a rough day, so I'm going to engage in self-love and sit down and eat a tub of ice cream?
I mean, I don't know if that
sounds about right to
it's
me.
Not really helping that much. I think you need to learn how to help yourself. Something that's helped me a lot is going to the gym, because it's a goal I have, and it's not for anyone else. I just genuinely feel good working on myself like that. And when I do that, I feel confident. I feel like, oh my gosh, like I could do this all day and I don't need women. I could just work out and get swole, you know?
Right.
I've been there.
Right. I think most guys have, which is why it's a good example. You need to figure out what you want in life. And once you start chasing those dreams, other people see how passionate you are and they love that about you. Right. And they want to support you in that.
Well, and that's something, I think it was Erica Kirk that was talking about that. Or maybe it was Charlie Kirk. But I think one of them was talking about how women want a man who can lead. Yeah. When a woman sees a man that's like, this is my plan, and I'm going to obtain this. That confidence and that drive, that mission, it shows them, I'm inspired by what you have to say and what your thoughts are and what your ambition is, and I want to join the ride. I want to be along for that journey that you're embarking on. And I think that's absolutely true, that women, they want a leader in the home. And that doesn't mean that the women won't lead, but they are excited by an idea of someone knowing what they want and obtaining it, because they see that's a man who's going to be able to provide for children. That's a man who will go places, and someone that they can be able to look to their husband and say, I'm proud of the man that I married and what he's been able to accomplish. So it's definitely, I feel like that makes a lot of people angry to say something like that, but it's just true for a lot of people. I know it doesn't apply to everyone. A lot of women feel that way.
And it's not misogyny either. It's not toxic masculinity. Yeah. It's men being men.
It's not men abusing and ruling over their wives. It's just that direction, that ambition, that they have a career and they know it. They're not just bouncing from dead end job to dead end job.
And icing on the cake with that is a man who's like that. You can pretty much safely assume that he's not addicted to pornography or any other major addictions.
He's a hard worker.
Addictions, when someone is trapped in addiction, they can only plan about 11 minutes ahead because their prefrontal cortex is taking control. People who are free from major addictions, they can plan weeks and months ahead. And so that ambition, that drive, those plans, everything they have lined up, it's a pretty clear sign that they're doing well mentally.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what you said too, how you're saying it's unattractive. Mm-hmm. Some people wouldn't use that bold phrasing, but it absolutely is. It's unattractive to come across someone who is not...
doesn't have goals, doesn't have plans, doesn't know what he's doing with his life, doesn't have any ambition.
Right, and everyone's going to have a different path. Everyone's going to have different ambitions and different ways that they go about seeking those things out. Right. But if you are if you don't have that drive to at least want to accomplish something in your life, like what's the purpose for your existence? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's not me justifying people not existing that have mindset.
Right.
That is, why are you going to drift through this life on earth without accomplishing something or seeking to accomplish something? You're just existing. You're not living. You're passing up so many beautiful opportunities that this life has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
A while ago, years ago, I visited Utah for some reason, and my cousin Zach was at college. Shout out. And we went to the gym that night. We're just hanging out, and he was just telling me about life. You know, it was like his second, third semester at college. I was asking how his life is going. He's like, dude, the world's my playground, man. Like, I can do what I want. And he wasn't talking like I can go drink and do this and stuff. He's like, I get to choose my career, choose where I live. I make my own money. And it's kind of nice, you know?
He sees it as an adventure.
It really is. And so that ambition doesn't have to be a struggle.
Yeah.
It will be, but, you know, it's stuff that you love doing. And another point I wanted to make, I think the attractive part doesn't come 100% from dudes that have a plan and have their next 5 years lined up. It just comes from guys who are working at that.
Yes.
Like, for example, me, I have no idea what my career is going to be.
Yeah.
I'm almost 4 semesters into college, just changed my major for second time, and, you know, I have the podcast going for me. My band's going nowhere. But I think part of the reason why my girlfriend is attracted to me is because I have, you know, that kind of drive. Maybe, you know, we'll talk about it later. We'll see if that's true.
She's here in the audience
I
right
didn't know
now.
it was already girlfriend, by the way.
Like, we're going on what, 12 hours now?
Nice.
Yep.
Beat my first record. My last ex broke up with me like 13 hours. Man.
Really?
So
That's
that was-
crazy.
Oh my gosh.
It was fun. We'll talk about that. That's dating culture here at BYU, Idaho. But
It's crazy.
the point I want to make is, you know, as long as you're making the effort, like, people are going to notice that. So
Yeah. No, that's an excellent point. It really is. It has nothing to do about your situation in life. You know all those love movies, the romance movies where it's the you know, kind of Prince and Pauper style, where there's the guy that has everything and he's the popular kid and he wants the beautiful lady, but she's not attracted to him. She's attracted to the guy who everything's against him, but the Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that no one would think anything of. He's just this nerd at a high school. And yet he's got the heart of a lion.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that good women, they seek after it. And that's why I tell people, like, don't worry. Make efforts to create opportunities when you're dating, and when you're going about life, I should say, to go on dates. But ultimately, you're going to find someone that matches you. I've seen terrible people that find each other, and it's a terribly abusive relationship. And it works for them. Not well, but it works. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She doesn't leave him. He is abusing her, and she verbally abuses him back. And there's this back and forth tug of war. Why isn't she leaving him? Because she doesn't feel like she can achieve more than him. So that's why I'm saying it works, air quotes. I don't ship that.
Definitely.
It matches doesn't mean it works.
Right.
Yeah, it matches.
That's a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom has always told me, because for my whole life I've wanted this, you know, baller, amazing Emma Smith, Erica Kirk wife. And my mom's like, that's totally fine. You can do that, but you have to be a Charlie Kirk. You have to be a Joseph Smith. I'm like, I'm trying. And I was joking with you the other day. It's like, it's not that I can get to my wife's level. I just got to get close enough to where she accepts it. That kind of a thing. She's not marrying down. She's just marrying potential. It's kind of the joke I make.
See, if you talk to Jordan Peterson, he says women don't marry down. They always marry across and up.
Which is interesting to me because...
Across and up?
Mm-hmm. Like if you were to rate people, men are the ones that they'll marry down.
Like people that they think is... Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. But then with women, they're like, I'm going to marry an equal or better. And part of that's because they have the burden with a child of being kind of limited on what they can do for at least a couple of months of the pregnancy. I mean, it's pretty difficult for you to work while pregnant. So, at least for certain individuals and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree. I had a question. It's not really like related to dating, I guess, but more on like working on yourself and having goals. Because I feel like that's a big problem nowadays. Or maybe it's just been always, but like with Aiden and me and my brothers and like a ton of guys I know, they just have no idea what they want to do with their lives, and I feel like that's kind of holding them back in a way. Or
Oh, for sure.
What's the word? Putting it off, success.
Yeah.
How do you think that we could, like you, knowing what you want to do and having your passion and ambition, how did you get that? How did you find out what you wanted to do?
I think I was born that way. Not going to lie. I don't want to set anyone up for some unrealistic expectations. When I was 7 years old, I was playing with Legos and I was like, I want to go into construction.
Really?
I tell people it literally clicked, no pun intended, that I wanted to do construction, that I could build like with Legos for the rest of my life. I attribute it to the Spirit because I don't think my mind was in that space. Because at the same time, I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and I was like planning in my mind dating. I don't know many little kids that are thinking about that at a young age like that. And what I thought was basically, if I have a mask while dating and pretend to be someone I'm not, it could possibly be I come across someone that would have loved me, but because I put on a facade, they couldn't see me.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that would be really tragic. And similarly, someone that loves the facade, but when you take the facade off and they finally discover who you are, which inevitably will happen,
and they hate you.
Now they hate you. And I just was like, I made it a promise to myself when that thought came across my mind that I would never fake who I am when dating.
And you were 7?
I was this
crazy,
little
bro.
kid.
I didn't realize that until just now. No,
So I'm telling you, I think there was something different about me. My bosses joke at work. They're like, so that's what's wrong with you, Devin. So that's what's, odd about you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, something, I don't know.
Right.
But okay, the joking aside, I think the first step is believe that you can. It's faith. And I don't want to say faith in yourself because that gets dangerous. You can have faith in yourself and you go out and work your hardest and you get totally kicked to the curb. And that's where people, they get nihilistic, just depressed, hopeless about life, dark, dismal. And that's because they're like, the system is rigged against me. I can't succeed. I think that is one of the most devastating conclusions that I've heard anyone come to in this world. And our country is the most helpful in regard to not having a system rigged against you. There are lots of countries where the system is literally and intensely rigged against the poor, rigged against people that are disadvantaged or that don't go along with the government. But we don't live in a system like that. We've got problems, absolutely. And there's people that are disadvantaged, but it's not built into the system. It's because of flaws in the system. So that's what I would first say. Believe that you can. If you don't believe you can become a great man or a great woman, you never will be. You will always be subpar. So you have to make the decision today, what do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Who can I become? What are my actual limits? And then push those limits. And don't stop until you reach the absolute top that you can go to. And I don't say this, again, I don't say this to inflate a person's ego. I don't want you to go out there and do your best and at the end of the day be like, I accomplished all these things. You accomplished all these things by the grace of God who put breath into your lungs and who gave you life and supports and sustains you daily. Mm-hmm. So always remember where your strength truly comes from. But that being on the table and us always acknowledging that, you have to put in the work. And that's what's going to come first is knowing who you are, what your potential is, and now you have the confidence, the courage, and the vision to know what you can do next to achieve your goals and figuring out what your desires actually are, figuring out what you actually do want to do. That's what I'd say is the starting point.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, like you said, you have to have faith in yourself. You have to believe you can do it, but you can't mix that with pride.
Yes.
And that's the main thing. You have to be humble enough to recognize that the reason we are able to do anything we want is because of God, because he put us in this situation and gave us our agency and the power to do things. And I think that's where it changes things and where you can really grab hold of that ambition and keep moving forward no matter how difficult it becomes.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that sets people. I mean, they've done studies on this type of stuff too. I read a book about entrepreneurs. They tend to be loners, but very intelligent, very, dedicated, very anxious to accomplish tasks. And so what ends up happening is because they get socially isolated, they go to sources of wisdom and knowledge and learning, and they read up on books, and they listen to podcasts, and they listen to audiobooks, and they do all these different things of research and investigating and self-discovery. And then they embark on this journey of starting a company, and they'll have failure and failure and failure, and boom, there's a success. And that high you get from having a success motivates you for your next. But when you don't have that drive and ambition, what happens is you never ever have that pop of a success that just blows you away. And you now have that euphoria that you want to obtain again. But if you don't have that drive, you never have that cycle. And so that's part of it, I think, is learn to do things you know you can do, maybe even that you don't quite know you can do, and accomplish them. And it's kind of like a child. I've watched my daughter as she's gotten better at walking and talking and responding to things we say and do. I mean, she can almost have a conversation with us to an extent, and she doesn't even really know any words yet. I mean, she's doing sign language, and she's giving facial expressions, and she's understanding context to a degree. And seeing her grow at that level, it's the same exact thing for an adult. You're just working at a different level. And so if you just keep working at having successes that you can say, hey, look, I did it, then you're going to be able to walk away with an appetite for more. I think you had some comments, it looked like.
Yeah, just to answer the question that you asked a few minutes ago, Vance. Kind of like what I said before, what my cousin told me. I mean, those words have stuck with me until today. Those were probably like 5 or 6 years ago that he told me, the world is your playground. And I've definitely taken that to heart. I mean, I worked in Alaska about 2 weeks after I got off the Mish. Did construction out there. My cousin met his wife. Shout out. That was sick. So, crap happens when you do stuff with your life. And then I went back to Alaska to drive buses. Got a CDL. I'm driving these white geezers around to Alaska, taking their money from them at the end of the tour. It was awesome. Saw bears every day. Saw the northern lights, Mm-hmm. That's just because I'm doing crap with my life. You just, the world really is your playground. You can do whatever you want. And you can tank it with drugs and with sex and with all this BS that you can be doing, or you could go freaking have fun.
Yeah. Well, so that's another thing. You're getting onto something else that's really important. Do something that's really hard, really tough, really scary.
A mission.
Yeah, missions.
Yep.
Going to Alaska. I mean, it sounds like you'd never done that before.
No, it was kind of insane. I had never been to Alaska before. The first time when I did construction, I had never really seen what Alaska was like. Never felt the air. And it's little things that just kind of blow your mind away.
Yeah, and
it's also that mentality of the world is your playground that kind of helped me to enjoy being single for a while. I was, really, really discouraged. Ask my mom. Here, I'm mentioning her like the 80th time on this show. She's my go-to when I'm feeling discouraged and stuff. And, every time that a girl canceled the second date or hit me with a text after the first date, like, hey, just clearing up, we're friends. I'm like, hey, don't flatter yourself. It gets discouraging after a while. And, I was kind of sick of just being single and being lonely. But then I realized, no. I started to realize the little things. Like I woke up one morning when I wanted to, set alarm for my time. I went and got gas in my car. I did it all by myself.
You're a big boy now.
I was a big boy, exactly. And then I went to the gym. I was like, I can choose how long I get to stay in the gym. I'm going to go buy me food I want. And it's not, it sounds kind of selfish, but it's enjoying life. It's, if you're doing it to be a jerk and to be prideful, then that's, one poison. But I went to Alaska because I could.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't committed to a wife and kids, which is a great responsibility too. I can't wait for that. But, I got to do these things because the world was my playground.
Yeah.
So having that open-minded mentality is just so healthy.
I want to put a plug in for something really awesome. So, I listen to Glenn Beck every day. He's an awesome podcaster, awesome commentator. And he interviewed these guys, Matt and Maxim Smith. It's a father and a son. And they made this program to replace the standard college education called the preparation. It's specifically tailored to young men. And he had noticed how his son, because of social media and other technologies, was in a pit of despair and depression. And I can't remember if he had mentioned even suicidal, but basically just was not doing well at all. His confidence was subpar. And what he basically said was, this isn't working. We need to change what we're doing. Dude learned how to fly a plane in like, I can't remember, a month or two. Dude learned how to sail and navigate oceans. He went and worked with miners. MINERS.
I was about to clarify. What you mean? You should have not clarified that and seen what the comments were.
Oh my gosh.
To see what kind of unintelligent people we could have attracted.
He worked with like oil riggers and stuff. And all these different things. There's a course that he did where in 3 weeks you build a house. It's just like the framing, but you get to design it too. You design the house and build and frame it with a team. It's crazy. So there's all these different things. I can't remember. There's like 30 different aspects to this, and some of them are pretty affordable, like they only cost like $2,000 or $3,000 to actually pursue, and it's on your own time. You can work on the side, and some of them are pretty pricey, like the pilot's license one. But there's all these different things, and now he said, my boy has grown to be a man, and he has all these diverse skills. It's like the new Boy Scouts of America, and I am enamored by it. This is what I'm going to recommend to tons of guys out here. When I start talking to people, I'm going to be like, skip college and pull a Charlie Kirk and do the preparation. So again, that's Matt and Maxim Smith, the preparation. Look it up.
But like, how much does it cost? How does it work?
It's a completely unstructured circumstance. So you're just looking for opportunities basically that fall in line with this curriculum. Yeah. It's just a general plan of look at these different aspects of manhood and life and pursue them. The builder, the pilot, the navigator. There's just all these different names they have. And then you just operate within those guidelines and find your own thing. That's part of it. It's not about take this pre-prepared course and have this done and and pay this fee. It's about go out there and find an opportunity. Part of the value in this is the effort it took for this guy to find these opportunities. He had to find his own housing. He had to find his own vehicle, his own arrangements, his own transportation, find these job opportunities.
And it's fun to do that.
Yeah.
It's cool, you know. That's my car. That's my truck. I signed that. You know, I fill it up with my gas. You know, it's cool like that.
Absolutely.
I feel like school, college can be very, what's the opposite of freedom?
Limiting,
I guess.
Limitationating.
Bondage.
Bond. Yeah. It's, I don't know. Especially we're in finals week right now. I see lots of my friends that are just stressing over these grades, bro. I'm like, okay, cool. Sure, you're learning stuff, but you're not free.
Since when was learning about a grade, a letter you got?
That is all I think about when I do school. That's why I don't try in my classes. Granted, these classes aren't going to help with my future that much.
Not anymore, yeah.
Not my career.
Wait, what'd you switch it to?
Marketing. I went from biomedical science
to
marketing.
Gosh, no way. That's a big jump.
Hey, shout out those of you in biomed. Y'all are studs. I could never. But
the girl I went out with today was doing biomed. So
is that why there's not another date?
I don't know. I don't know anything about biomed.
Oh, you don't want to know. I little side note here. I'm pretty sure I brought down the class average for one of our tests and one of my bio classes down by at least 4 points.
Oh no!
Because I think I got like a 20% on that test, just because school can, you know. I didn't like learning what we were learning, and I got about a 20% on the test, and then I was asking people what they got. They're like, "Oh, I got an 80, I got a 90, I got a 100," and our class average was like 68.
No,
I was so proud of myself. I thought it was hilarious. I still passed the class and stuff.
Funny.
You know what happened with that class? I got the credits, and it's on my transcript or whatever. I got the points. I did the paperwork, and now I'm on my way to get the little piece of paper that says I went through college.
And you know what? At least you understood 20% of it.
At least
more than you would have if you didn't go.
Yeah, and I do think college is really important. You know, with things like social aspect and involvement, extracurricularly. But school itself is just kind of stinky sometimes.
No kidding.
We have been programmed to chase grades and to chase approval by professors who often help and often don't help.
Yeah, which isn't bad depending on the professor and on the stuff you're learning. You should have expectations that you need to reach because that pushes you to do more. But it should come out of, I want to do this rather than, oh, this person's forcing me to do this.
Yeah, for sure. And deadlines, at least in my mind, force me to get stuff done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay, I have to get this done. I don't have to learn it. This just has to get over with. And on a totally separate note, I'm really glad that AI exists. That's all I'm going to say. It's completely unrelated.
Oh, gosh.
It's not correlation. It's not causation. I'm just saying, sometimes technology.
But so the thing with that is I would always recommend people take an approach of you should be in the class to learn.
Yeah.
Like I tended to get really good grades, but I took on one semester, I had a ton of classes going on and some of them were less than my average on grades. And I was okay with that and kind of accepted that was probably going to happen, taking on 21 credits in a single semester. Some of them were really easy classes. I give that caveat. But with that being the case, I always made an effort to make it part of my mindset to seek out what I could learn and obtain. I still use in my work on a daily basis some of the things I've learned from my classes. Random math classes where you learn about amortization and mortgages and learning about how much debt really costs you. Just different random things. And I really do benefit from that. If you just go in about the grade, I feel like college does you even less than it does the average person. If you go in just saying, I just want to get an A, I just want to get my degree, it's the wrong mindset. But you're right, it sets you up for that mindset. And part of that is because it's not a journey, it's a mill. It's just a wheat mill. And you just are one of those gears and you're just smushing all the wheat and grinding it up and turning it into powder. And in the meantime, it's breaking you down too. And you just get worn out. And by the end, you're like, I need to retire from education. When education is supposed to be a lifelong journey. So, kind of applies to dating even. Like once you get married, you're still for life dating your wife and getting to know her, getting to know how you can better yourself as a husband, more fully commit to that role of father and husband, or mother and wife for those individuals that are watching. Yeah.
So to kind of tie it all together, we started with dating and how it sucks sometimes. Then we went into us three we're men, so we're talking about manhood and how to actually be a man, the difference between a man and a boy who has no direction. I think to help alleviate the problem of dating and trying to find somebody, find your direction. And if that means stopping college for a semester or two or altogether to pursue something that actually matters to you, then that's drive. I think women can tell the difference between drive to hurry up and get this over with and drive to make a change in the world. And there's definitely a huge difference visually to see that in somebody. And we all know where each one leads. If you're just trying to get through life and get it done, you're not going to enjoy it. But if you're doing stuff you love, you're going to enjoy every piece of it. Mm-hmm. Money doesn't matter. I gave up dentistry. I wanted to be a dentist because they make good bank. I could own my own business, go to my own hours, go to my kids' baseball games. Good intentions. Football games, actually. They'll play both, though. That's beside the point. But I gave that up because, it wasn't sitting well with me. I'm not smart enough to be like those biomed students. But I don't know, this podcast is a passion of mine. Some other things that I'm very passionate about. And I feel a lot happier. I feel more fulfilled. So
that's a great point.
Pursue what you love, and people who are like-minded and who are attracted to that, who are worth your time, will be attracted to that, and it'll all work out. Yeah. And of course, I think I probably should have mentioned it earlier, but as long as you're serving God and following His will, everything's gonna line up too.
Oh yeah,
your career, your wife, your whole entire life is gonna be all right.
Even the biggest failures will work to your success at some point. Yep. Do you have any other comments you wanted to share before we tie this thing up?
No, just moral of the story, be a man, find your passions and desires, work hard for them, serve a mission. It's great.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. Changes a lot.
Yeah, for those that aren't Christian too, find some other way that you can serve people, that you can be a force for good. There's service missions that people go on where they go to Africa and they help dig wells for people. I mean, you have so many options. Really, the sky's the limit. The only thing that's holding you back is your fear and your own insecurities. So let go of those things. For our women that we're watching today, drop in the comments the things that you're looking for in a man and the things that you're struggling to see in our society, things that are missing, things that have been an issue for you when dating and whatnot, things you want to hold men to a higher standard about. And then for the guys out there, comment how you are going to change, how you are going to live up to that standard of manhood and of fatherhood and being a husband. And we want to be able to just spread this around and hashtag be your best self. That's how we'll do that. Again, you can comment below. A little bit of stutter there. Comment below, like, subscribe to the channel, or follow us on the platform you're listening to us on. And we're going to pump out more great content for you guys every week. Take care. Thanks for listening.
Make a difference. Be the difference.
I think that was too late.
That's fair.
My caffeine is running off.
I know, mine too. I need a beer.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a sleepy episode.
Wait, what did you get your caffeine from?
Monster.
I told you that it doesn't have enough.
Was yours Rain? What? Yours is Rain.
Mine was Rain.
And you have the same effect.
300 milligrams, bro.
Oh my god.
I only drank about 250.
The crash is gonna be harder then.
No, I don't crash.
Okay.